Let's review this Whalers jersey. Oh my god. What's up, everybody? And today I'm going to be reviewing this lovely Hartford Whalers, aka Carolina Hurricanes alternate jersey that released a few months ago. I haven't gotten around to reviewing this jersey because I wanted to acquire it. If you haven't seen the unboxing for this jersey, I'll leave a link right here so you can watch it. But let's talk about this beautiful Whalers throwback jersey. All right, so talking about the Whalers, we need to go over the history of how this team came to be and how it led to the Hurricanes in around the late 90s. But let's go way back. Let's go back to the 70s. Do you guys remember when that happened? Yeah, a long time ago. So, in the 70s, you didn't have the Hartford Whalers. You had the New England Whalers. And they actually didn't form or start in the NHL. They started in a league called the WHA, the World Hockey Association. And this was a league that was created to compete with the NHL, not in the sense that they played games together, but just a way to get, some overlap fandom, because hockey was booming in the 70s. It was the big thing. And this team was actually owned and started by Howard Baldwin, a movie producer. So you have the Hollywood lights there already on the Hartford Whalers, except they weren't called the Hartford Whalers. They were the New England Whalers. And let's go into Howard Baldwin for a second. I was doing some research on this man and what movies he actually produced. And he has some good sci-fi stuff out there, but oh my god, does this guy have some stinkers in the department of horror films. I guess that's just the way it goes. You make some hits in the 80s, and then your budget goes to horror films that are quick cash grabs. Anyways, the team began playing at actually the Boston Gardens, which is where the Boston Bruins which were already established NHL team, had been playing. But the problem with this is that there was 3 other teams other than the Boston Bruins sharing the Gardens, which was actually included the Bruins AHL team. So when the Hartford Whalers or the New England Whalers wanted to schedule a game, they had to go through a priority list, and they were last on that list, just getting crap times, and they were even on that list underneath the Boston Bruins AHL farm team, which is kind of a joke, right? So they said, this isn't working for us. These start times are not getting the draw that we really would like. So they moved to a town called Hartford. They actually won the championship, defeating the Jets in the first WHA hockey championship. And so they formed this team in Hartford, Connecticut. And Gordie Howe, who was kind of retired from a wrist injury from the Red Wings, he actually brought his sons to the Hartford Whalers and was signed also on the Hartford Whalers to play. Kind of funny story. Gordie Howe retired, hoping to do more in the front office with the Red Wings. And because he didn't, instead of choosing the WHA team that the Red Wings were affiliated with, he actually went and chose Hartford over them. And brought his 2 sons there to play. And that's sort of why you might see a Hartford Whalers Gordie Howe jersey, because he was the big name that was on that team. Other than Gordie Howe, though, this team did not have much success. Very soon after their championship in the WHA, there was a merger that happened. And this merger was very unfortunate for the WHA teams because the teams were treated as expansion teams, which means that they had to forfeit all their players but 2 skaters and 2 goalies to the draft and to all the NHL teams who wanted to draft those players first, which was kind of crappy if you think about the order that the WHA teams got in that draft. They were very low, almost last on the list of teams to get to select their players. This is actually how Wayne Gretzky came into the NHL on the Oilers. And this is sort of how the Hartford Whalers story of doom and gloom began, because they would begin their NHL career not just with a bad team and a bad record not making the playoffs. They had to change their name. And that finally gets me to this Hartford Whaler name. So they were the New England Whalers, but the Boston Bruins, being their, whiny entitled selves, as we know, from the New England Patriots, we know that these fans can get like this, and they can get very whiny. And they said, "Look, we're not gonna have you be New England because it's just going to create too much interstate, or it's a bunch of states. It's going to create too much competition for us, inter-area competition between the New England. So you need to go with the name of the small town that you guys moved to, Hartford." And that's when this logo came about. So they used to have a W, and it had a whale harpoon that went across the W. I'll put that on the screen right here so you can see it. When they rebranded as the Hartford Whalers, they hired a man to design the logo, and they wanted to get rid of that sort of connotation of, hurting the whales and more embrace the whale. As you see, their secondary logo on here on the shoulders is this guy named Pucky, who's this cute little whale, right? He came with this change into the NHL as well. So they wanted to get rid of the harpoon. So for all those people who are complaining about, who Redskins fans who are complaining about becoming the Commanders, it's always been happening. There's been, trends and societal movements to get away from things that once were accepted, like whaling in this country, and now aren't. The point is to sell the most tickets, and you don't want to offend people that might take away your portion of tickets that you're going to sell. Okay, so we have this beautiful logo here from their transition into the NHL and the name change to the Hartford Whalers. Why is Hartford important here? Well, if you didn't see it already, in the negative space behind the W here, you actually have an H that exists in between this whale tail and the W. Also, it was kind of a fun, happy accident, but they actually have what they would call hockey stick blades that go into the negative space of the H as well. I'll kind of put a graphic up to show you what I'm talking about if you don't see it. So you have these two cool little nods in the logo, and it really worked. And what I really love about this logo is I love how simple it is, how vintage it is, but also just how unique and kind of it just stands the test of time. It is actually kind of like a modern logo, the way that the bevels are made on the whale and the W. It's really a logo that could be brought forward at any moment. This could be in 2023, this could be in the 50s. But this logo is one of the best. And I love the backdrop of the blue on the W, and then it switches places and you have the blue whale tail here on top. It's really a phenomenal look. Some of the best color combinations too I've seen on a jersey, hockey jersey at all. All right, so let's talk about the formation of what would then be the Hurricanes from the Hartford Whalers. So the Hartford Whalers front office was not doing their job. They actually traded away Ron Francis to the Penguins, which helped them win Stanley Cups, and the fans were again kind of mad. They're like, dude, you guys are trading away all our good players, and since we're in Hartford, we're not really getting free agents to, look at us like an actual option for them. So they weren't getting many free agents to come in on deals, and they had made the playoffs a few times, but were exiting in the first round, and it just it wasn't looking too good for them. So when it came time to build a new arena, they went to the governor and they said, "Hey man, we need a new arena. We want to bring in more fans." And the governor said, "Look, I don't want to pay tax money to a sports organization. There's other things in Connecticut that we need to be dealing with." And the funny thing is after the Hartford Whalers had to relocate and say that they were leaving Hartford, the governor then went to the New England Patriots at the time, who were looking for an area to build their, Gillette Stadium, their new football stadium. And he said, "Oh, I got tons of money for you guys to build your stadium in Hartford." Now, they didn't end up doing that, but I just think it's funny how he was like, "No, we don't have tax money for a hockey arena." And then he's like, "Come on, Patriots." So yeah, the Patriots almost ended up in Hartford, and actually, that governor ended up being impeached and arrested after that in 2004, I believe. So, yeah, I guess the guy's kind of a scumbag, and the reason that the Hartford Whalers are no longer there. So for the time being, we don't know. We don't know. Hartford Whalers still, they could become a team again. There is still an open space in Hartford for a hockey team. But how did the Hartford Whalers become the Hurricanes? Well, in the late 90s, the Hurricanes moved to Raleigh, North Carolina, and the owner of the Hartford Whalers suggested the name Hurricanes in the move. So the Hurricanes are not like other organizations who have these pasts, like the North Stars or like the Nordiques, who aren't really too related to the team that's there now, even though they do throw back. They are straight up linked. The Hurricanes are straight up linked to the Hartford Whalers. The owner gave that name Hurricanes to them, so they really are linked. And in 2006, the Hurricanes would go on to win their first Stanley Cup, which is pretty amazing, a pretty good turnaround. And they are a well-established team today, as you may know. So it's just pretty interesting how the Hartford Whalers' history progressed from starting in the World Hockey Association to becoming an NHL team to having no success and completely moving cities. It just makes you think why the NHL now has so many incentives and safety nets for these new expansion teams like the Vegas Knights and the Seattle Kraken, where they don't want these teams to fail completely and be run out of their city because they lose money, and that sucks. So they get their great, expansion draft picks and great draft picks, and there you go. The Vegas Knights won the Stanley Cup. All right, let's talk a little bit about this jersey here. I love the striping on the waist. It's really, really phenomenal. You gotta love that shade of blue. It just absolutely contrasts so nicely and complements the green on this jersey. The neckline is also freaking amazing. I love that it's white. The Hartford Whalers actually, in their slump and awful history, decided to put a gray box around this and actually curve the gray box even more to get a more intimidating kind of logo, because they felt like if they had a more intimidating look, they would be able to beat teams, I guess. And it's funny, actually, I forget who, but they basically came back saying, like, if you want to be intimidating, you just got to go out and play better and beat teams. The logo is not going to change that. So fans didn't really accept that gray logo too well, but that gray logo also inspires like the gray, use in the Reverse Retro 1 for the Hurricanes that they used, that was also inspired by the Hartford Whalers. But we have this jersey back in our hands, and it is white. It's their away jersey, and it's freaking phenomenal. You got Pucky on the shoulders. It's just such a nice jersey. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed that video, kind of going over Hartford Whalers history and why the Hurricanes are using this as a throwback jersey. You'll be happy to know that the Hurricanes have the Hartford Whalers players in their rafters, and the old arena in Hartford, Connecticut still has the Hartford Whalers jerseys in the rafters as well. And hopefully a new arena gets built for maybe an expansion team, or maybe the Coyotes want to go there, since they are having kind of a very similar problem that the Hartford Whalers had back in the 90s. Anyhow, thank you guys so much for watching my videos. Please leave a comment. I love to read what you guys have to say. If you have any history you want to add to the Hartford Whalers, what you think about this jersey, about other Whalers themed jerseys. Do you have this jersey? Did you buy it? Let me know. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It means a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Strings and Sweaters. Peace out.